Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Carrie.
Perfect.
Beauty.
Hi.
Can hear you. Good.
Just got it.
Oh,
Thanks.
Okay. How's everybody doing? Good.
Good.
so far.
Okay. We have a fun one tonight. I'm excited about this one. This is like all about me, I felt. I'm sure everybody will relate though. Um, give a second here for I think Amber's gonna join here and Christine. So wait 1 second. Did anybody get to see the video from this week from Chad's sermon about this?
I did.
Did you watch it? Randy, you watch it? Yeah, you said you watched it. So it was a pretty good one. I thought it was really good. I mean, like I said, I thought sometimes when you hear ones, you really think that they're, he or whoever you're listening to is speaking to you. So I thought it was really good.
The best ones.
Let's see. Here's who else we got. I think this is Amber. She always comes in somebody else's name. Oh yeah, John. Hey, John.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Amber.
So I think we have a couple more joining, but we'll we'll get started like we always do, and we can just catch everybody up. But I didn't realize till tonight that when I send you guys the emails, ZOE was saying they were supposed to send the one page of the notes where like I'll have the link to this week's message, and then also a couple of notes pulling off his message. And I was just made aware of it today that you guys aren't getting that. So I apologize. I will, from now on, I'll make sure that I copy paste that into my message I send just so you guys have it. And just a reminder. I mean, obviously you can look at Zoe's church page on YouTube and you can see the latest message he does every week. So you can do it that way. But usually when we're coming and doing the ZOE Monday Connects, the Connect group, the topics will be on exactly what he was discussing for the week. And we'll kind of dive in our own way to it, discuss about maybe what we all took from it. But I'll go through a few things first and then want to kind of open it up. One, happy Valentine's Day. Hope everybody had a great day yesterday. I'm not a huge fan of government issued Valentine's Day, but I'm a fan of love. So that's something. So I thought we'd go through a couple things that I pulled from his message first, and then some notes that I personally added. But one big thing for me is, like I told you, this is very personal to me. This one's probably the most personal for me because I've had to deal with this topic a lot in relationships. Give me 1 second. And when I say this topic, I mean like being able to love fully. The key in that is to be able to love yourself, right? I mean, this is the big challenge of like being in a relationship, not just with God, but being in a relationship with another human here in front of you, and the expectations you set of what that relationship is. And one of the things I thought was massive that he's touched on was that love is not something that's supposed to complete you. It's supposed to complement you. That the love that we're seeking out from partners and from others whether it's our our sexual relationships or just our friendships, the love we're seeking out there isn't supposed to fulfill you and complete you. It's supposed to complement you. You know, your love for the higher being is what's supposed to help complete you, and then your group and your connects around you complement that for the ultimate, right? So I think sometimes for us, you know, especially in loneliness, as well as titled, that we're looking for happiness when we're alone sometimes, and when we're doing that, we just want somebody to love us, or we just want our partner to love us, and feeling that'll take away the feeling that we're having, right? And that's what I mean by it doesn't complete you. I think when we tie it to our own personal happiness, you know, and fulfillment, that's where it gets a little gray area. So he talks about, this is something that I looked up a Harvard study a while back when I was just struggling with this, because this is where my head's at. But he touched on the point of like, humans aren't meant to be alone. We're supposed to have companionship and connect with other people. It's human nature to be around and be in groups and be involved and be loved and care for one another. It's not normal to run alone. It's not normal to just, which I've done a lot of. I'm a very experienced in this area. Like, I'll handle it. I'll do it myself. Like, I don't need anybody else to help. And it's a very isolating feeling, and we're not designed to be like that. We're creatures that are supposed to be paired up and be in community and support one another in growth. So I thought that was a very key thing he touched on too. You know, when he says in the Bible, it says man should not be alone, but humanity, right? We're not meant to be alone and deal with things on our own. We're stronger in numbers. You know, and I think in the time of loneliness, it's hard to get out of that feeling. But I do want to say, I think we can confuse, you know, people being around us or having friends, or maybe we're out a lot and there's always people around us, with the fact that you can still be very alone in that situation. You know, a lot of people say, well, to me, when I'm having this conversation, say, well, I have a ton of friends and people are always around me. I'm always around people. I'm a people person. That's not the answer. Loneliness is deep in your soul. It's in your heart. I've been blessed to have so many people in my life, and you know, work every day, so many people coming through the business and always around me. I'm never physically alone, but I felt more moments of loneliness than I could even imagine. Like, it didn't make sense to me. So don't confuse it by like surrounding yourself with people in the terms of being alone as a human, or if there's one other person. Loneliness lies in your soul and your heart. And, you know, the saying that where you find real love and fulfillment is through God. That's the only person that can do that. So that allows you to love yourself, so then you can love others. Right. So he brought up a set of friends that are going through therapy in the message, and a husband and wife going through therapy, and the husband talking about he doesn't feel good enough and he doesn't love himself. And, you know, the sad part about that was the wife's response about, if you can't love yourself, then there's no possible way you can love me. And it was a really sad moment for them to have her hear him say that, right? And that's pretty powerful. I think that little example is pretty powerful because one, it hit me really hard because that's pretty much my history of my relationships. You know, I've never fully accepted loving myself enough to give everything I had to somebody else. But I wasn't aware of it. So I thought I was doing everything, but I wasn't even aware of it. So it makes it really hard to give yourself to somebody or give all your good qualities that you have to somebody when you're unsure of yourself. So that's to me this message was like striking in the manner of love and loneliness. You know, those are such a marriage of things there. And, you know, we feel like sometimes we can feel overly loved and like everything is going well in our relationship and our friends and we're out. And then, you know, snap of the fingers, we can feel very lonely. And this past year and everything going on, I think tested a lot of people in both these, love and loneliness. I know it has for me. You know, Amber stresses like through losing our both our parents, like stressed it over and over that love will cure anything. And God speaks to that many times. Like love is the answer. It always is, no matter what it is. And sometimes it's okay to not be the one that's pulling somebody up, right? You don't have to be the one that's always the strong one and pulling somebody. It's okay to say out loud that you need to be the one right now. Right now in my life, I need somebody to pull me up. Right. And I've always felt in my heart that I was responsible to pull other people up. You know, I had a responsibility, and if I couldn't do it, I felt like a failure in my own heart. And never once did I think, well, maybe I need some pulling. Right? You reach back and pull one up with you, but it's always easier to pull down than it is to pull up. You know, you got to remember that it's easier to pull down than it is to pull up. That's just physics. I mean, that's science. It is harder. So to realize in your own life when you are ready to help another or reach back and pull somebody up, then do so. But also have it in your heart and be okay with the fact that if you're not ready to be doing that, look for somebody else that can pull you up. Maybe you're in that position. You don't know it. That's where I was anyway. And then reach out. You know, we talked about this a lot. Carrie knows, and Amber was there early. But, you know, we talked about that message that Rich did with the check your circle. Remember that? Like, it just always comes up, right? It's like we've had it come up in how many conversations we've had. I think it really is the core of things, like constantly checking your circle and then constantly building the people around you that can pull you up when needed, or vice versa, that recognize when you need to be pulled up and just do it for you. Because sometimes it's hard to ask, right? It's hard to ask for help. It's hard to ask somebody to pull you up. Because sometimes we're prideful. But doesn't it feel good when somebody does help you? Doesn't it feel good when somebody shows up for you? Doesn't it feel freaking amazing when somebody does something unexpected for you that you didn't ask? I mean, that stuff feels good in your heart. I mean, that's what it's supposed to feel like. And again, critical of myself, like I had a really hard time asking for help. I never would do it because I felt like it meant that I wasn't good enough to be doing my own job that I expected myself to be doing. And that's a huge mistake. I'm telling you, if you feel like it's a mistake, like we're meant to help each other. Many hands do great things. Everything great we see in life, every structure across the whole entire world that's like mind-blowing that people go visit every day, like thousands of people going and flying to and going to see these great places have been built by many people, not one dude, not one woman. You know, that's not how it works. And yet sometimes we go into a spot of isolation where we want to handle everything on our own. You know, something that is relatable to me is in golf, coaching golf, we joke around a lot because we always run into somebody that says, hey, do you want to get a lesson or something? Do you want to get in and work on your game? And we hear a lot, well, I want to get my game better before I come see you. It's like, I want to get better before I come get better. But I'm going to wait until I'm completely broken and can't figure it out to go get a psychologist to help me. I mean, there's not enough preventative in our lives. You know, there's not a lot of pre going on. It's always post after we've done everything. We've tried our hardest. Like, I can fix it. I can do it. Then I'll go see a professional. It's like, why don't we just leave the professional stuff to the professionals? I'm not trying to give my sister a massage. I mean, I wouldn't do it right. Like, she's a professional. Like,
Same.
so I think it's always good to check ourselves and then check our circles. You got to check yourself all the time and understand who you are and who's affecting you, if you're affecting people. And then it's always okay to keep changing it up, right? It's like, it is okay to constantly change your surroundings. We grow over and over. Having a conversation today about, if you're in business a long time, 30 plus years, you got to chunk those up as like the things that worked every 10 years are going to change because humanity changes and times change and people want different things and the world changes constantly. So you have to be evolving and adapting. So it's okay to sometimes not have the group of friends you had, right? Like sometimes it's good to change the people around you or your surroundings or your job or the way you look at things, the way you ask for help or don't. Right. So I'm going through this flow right now. This one really hit home to me. It was a very emotional message. One, because, just being okay with being pulled up instead of pulling others up. That's still a hard one today for me. I still have a hard time with it. But the whole love thing, the self-love thing, to be able to give everything you have to others is an ongoing battle with me too. So, some of the discussion notes on this topic were every point they kind of brought up was Chad kept preaching that I'm worried about you. And, he was saying, I'm worried about all of us. He's worried about this state we're in. He's worried because he's worried that people are in a position where they've never been and are not properly taking care of themselves and not building a community around them and not building a connect group. And that's what these things are about, these connect groups. Like no man or woman was meant to be alone. God didn't create. When he first started created, he immediately was like, I need to create a partner immediately. So we're not meant to be alone. So, when he says, I'm worried about you, it's because, this has been going on coming up on a year. And it's challenged everybody to be different in many ways. So the second point was, diving into loneliness and what that can do to us. And I think that's the point of him saying, he's worried. Are we getting to those spots where we're getting isolated from others? And well, I don't want to join the group this week, or no, I don't do the groups, or why not? This might be the way life is. I mean, that's, like we have to connect still. We can't give up on connecting. It's not, and we always talk about this. It's not always about me or you, Brandon, or Carrie or Amber. It's not about one of us. Sometimes you showing up is about somebody else. Like what it means to them when you show up in that group, seeing your face. Like I have the fortunate ability to talk to all of you individually as well. So it's beautiful for me because I get to see you guys all here, but I talk to each individual ones and I hear who likes each other, and it's nice to see them and hear their voice and talk. I get to see all that. So that brings a ton of joy to me. But that just proves to me over and over. It's like, I love when more people show up because sometimes it's not about listening to me. It's about the couple words Carrie might have to say, or Amber has a message, or Brandon wants to say something. It's not always about us. So I always appreciate you guys showing up. Point 3 was, do you have a community? A good community around you? That was this whole thing with like pushing connect groups. How can we push these further and really get more people involved? Because especially now more than ever, even though we started these before the pandemic, connect groups are important. Connecting human beings are important. Again, I'm going to say we're not designed to be alone. So huge point to me. And then the 5th point, this was, do you struggle receiving God's love? So we talked about loving yourself. We've talked about this many times as a group. Not so far deep into receiving God's love though. So, when he talks about the ultimate love. He's never going to quit on you. He's always going to be searching you out. He's always coming after you relentlessly. Doesn't matter what you do or how fast you run or where you hide in your house, or if you're going to shut down, like, I'm not going to be part of these groups. I don't want to, people don't like me right now. You can't hide. Like he has x-ray vision, man. Like it's like right through the house, sees you in your cubby. So it's relentless. It's always coming after you. And when you can accept that, that's the time when you can start accepting that true love to yourself and then be the best version of yourself. So that when somebody comes into your life, it's not a battle. It's not like, how are we going to get through this next couple months? Or, we're growing apart, all these excuses we hear in relationships. And to me, they are excuses and I've used them. I'm guilty of all of it. And it always came down to me not wanting to face my lack of self-love. So I figured out a way to get out of it and move to the next one that nobody knew about me in that. It's fresh for me. It's easy. Now, boom. Okay. Until that becomes a issue, then I do the same thing, and it's a pattern, and the pattern is avoiding my self-love, and and it's based in me not feeling love from God my whole life. So I think it's over and over in our messages. It's not a coincidence. I think I need to hear it over and over. I think we all need to hear it every day, probably. But Brandon, I was telling these guys right before you came on, I'm going to send you I'll copy paste the notes from the church every Monday too. I thought they were attaching to the emails I was sending you guys. I'll start to attach them and send them through. They're supposed to have the link and then some really good topic notes on there. So I'll start sending them. I just realized that today. I want to open the floor. Anybody want to talk about yesterday, maybe? Anybody do anything fun, exciting, romantic? Were there flowers leading into your bedroom? Where they're did you have a good day? Or do you want to talk about anything about self-love or even battling loneliness? Anything?
I personally think that I got one of the best gifts that wasn't really tangible. Someone just gave me their time, and it
Love it.
was working. It was a really hard day, and they just showed up and they were there, and they were that person that lifted me when I wasn't ready to say I needed it. And that was more than anything I could actually ask for or hold on to, but it really changed my entire day.
Beautiful. So see, there's time. I like that. Anybody else want to say?
I'll talk about loneliness. I think sometimes it's so hard for us to, community is so important, and our connections with people are so important. But I think sometimes a roadblock to that can be just the fear of, being vulnerable. So that's really hard, and that's kind of sometimes, it's scary to open up, or even worse, if you open up and then somebody doesn't understand and you try to explain. And so that's scary a lot of times. And sometimes you feel brave and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Speaking of vulnerability, this is, I think it's probably what helped a lot of this thing is, Amber's doing this ultimate vulnerability test right now. She's just finished writing a book about her life, every detail, nothing left out, intimate things, things that were private, things that she's never shared with anybody in her life, and put it on paper and is going to publish it. And that's what it is. But, I'm more than ever right now in my heart, I believe that our humanity needs ultimate transparency and vulnerability, or I don't think we'll grow. I think we are trapped, and it's not just this year. It's just what it's been trending towards. It's trapped of just not telling the full truth about things, leaving parts out, that you
Yeah.
don't feel cool about, or you don't feel good about. Like you're leaving parts out of stories about yourself because you don't love yourself fully. And I think it takes a whole lot of courage and heart to just say, no matter how painful it is to say out loud and what judgment you feel like it might come back, that ultimately what will come back is love in 100x. Like you're never going to win all of the love. The only person's love that you'll win 100% of is God. And he promises you that. Everything else, if you win 51% of, you're doing awesome. Right? So just think about that every time you want to put your heart out or you want to share something with your significant other that you might think they judge you for your past. Know that that person has a past too. And they have things that are vulnerable to them that they probably aren't sharing with you. It's not a one thing. It's don't be hard on yourself. It's you need 51% of love, like at the best situation, to be pretty good position in life.
What's really interesting about, everything we're talking about is in my own journey. I was right before you said that, I was going to say, it's so weird because to Carrie's point and to a lot of what you said and what I'm hearing in all the conversations I'm having. So, okay, I'm writing this book and it's like, yes, it's a full transparency about the details of my life, but it's ultimately like this self-sacrifice of love because I'm very, very, very uncomfortable in that place, Carrie, like you said, where it's like, I don't want to stand on a pedestal and be like, look at me, even though I have that in me. Like there's this Leo part of me that, everybody wants to be kind of that somewhere inside them. I'm not interested in that at all. And the more that it's about me, the more uncomfortable I am. And in writing the book, it was really to make other people feel not alone. And I noticed even in my own life, like, I think I was born kind of a lonely soul for some reason. And I don't even know where that came from. And I know that Michael, you have felt that way, throughout your life. And I think that that's a common human experience. But I think that I, sorry, should have had my phone off. I think that for me in my journey and feeling loneliness, even though I had this like super loving mom that tried to pour like liquid sunshine love into my soul every moment she could, and Michael too. We had a dad who was, this really amazing, gregarious person that was very well loved, but also very abusive and broken in his own ways. And so there was always this duality. And so there was a little bit of soul loss there that left us feeling lonely throughout our lives, whether that's an imprint from something our parents felt, or whether we brought that from another lifetime, or maybe it was our disconnect from God for our lack of faith and our own pain as children, or, for whatever, however we get to that place, because I sometimes struggle with the guilt of even feeling lonely or bad for myself or sorry for myself in any way. But that leads me down a road of when I go and I'm boxing and I'm teaching the Parkinson's patients and I'm with people that are more lonely, more in pain, dealing with so much more, having such more of an isolated existence. That is another way that I can feel less lonely because I'm not thinking about me. But that, like you said, brings love around full circle back to me because I get to be ultimately humble. I get to humble myself and say, I am not alone when there's people out there that are in need of love.
Mhm.
And even though I show up sometimes in broken relationships as an adult white woman in America, unfortunately, that's why I really believe that I can keep loving and keep loving and keep loving. And that's going to be the cure, because ultimately I know that there's people that are so much more lonely and in so much more pain than I am. And so I have to always keep that in mind. And that helps. And I know that Valentine's Day could be maybe the most depressing day on earth for, the other 50%. because a lot of people don't have anyone, whether
But
that's a
it's
loved
also
one
Single Awareness Day.
or a family member. What's that?
It's also Singles Awareness Day. So, I mean, let's be politically correct when we talk about these days. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
And Brandon, I loved your commercial, by the way. I'll tell
Yeah.
you more later.
yeah, let's go.
It's awesome.
The other topic Chad brought up too, I wanted to talk about because it came up in everyday life here is, he kept on talking about when you have self-love and, investing in yourself first and wholeheartedly, it mends relationships on its own. Meaning if you're in we all have a relationship, either friends or family that we're in that's this toxic-ish a little bit. Like there's always a little contention or, a sibling or Amber and I experienced this for many years. It took us a long time of hard work for each other to have the relationship we have today. But we all have those relationships that are a little bit turmoilish, like just never goes good in the conversation or there's disagreement. And a lot of the times it's the closest people to us. It is family and it is siblings and our best friends growing up. It's usually the people that are closest. And in his message, when he was talking about that, I want to challenge everybody, myself included, to look at those relationships hard and understand your contribution to them. Because like I said, it's always easy to say, well, no, every time I talk to you, every time you don't call me, or every time you talk to me like that, or every time it's easy to do this. It's easy to pull down, if you will. That's the pull down effect. It's putting the blame over here. It's off my table. It's on you. That's easy to do because it doesn't take any work from you. But I challenge us to think about what it would take to completely change one of those relationships that you have today by turning around, putting the finger on you and going, what is my role in this relationship? What is my role in the things we keep butting our heads with? What is my role in why my girlfriend or boyfriend is upset every weekend when I come home or I don't hit date night or any of these things that are contentious? Look at what your role is first, because sometimes the answer is right there. And it's the hardest one to do because self-reflection is hard. We already have it hard. Like we want to know why people don't love us. Why can't they love us? Why can I have that? Or then when we get it, there's complacency involved. And then there's a little bit of, am I fully transparent? Am I being vulnerable? Then when you start hiding that stuff, then that relationship starts to be like, well, how do I get out of it? And all that really has to do with, if we were doing this, it'd be much better. But it's easier to do this. Right. So him talking about really putting that effort in, just like anything else in your life. If you want to play the piano, you have to buy a piano. You have to invest in getting one. Okay. You can't just become an awesome one. You play air piano at your house your whole life. I mean, that's not how it works.
We know one person that was awesome at air guitar, but it was one person out of 7.5 billion. So.
We actually do. He's very famous air guitarist in our hometown. He is RIP. He has passed away, but yes, investment is key to anything we do. Period. Our homes, our cars, our people, us, more importantly. If we don't have us invested first, then all the other investments are dodgy at best. So that's all I got to say about that. I do want to tell you guys that, I really appreciate you guys being here every week and just being a part of this community. And I think it's been hugely important to me. Mondays are my favorite day of the week, going into Tuesday. I mean, it just gives me a ton of energy to be around you guys. I know we haven't met together as a group. Who knows when that is, but I'm getting used to this. I like it. We have no excuses. We're all right here. This is no different. Besides, we're not like we're touching each other when we're together anyway. Well, me and Carrie give long hugs, but the point is, I think we continue to do this and this is what we do until we don't. But I think being there for each other it's hugely important to me. When you guys show up, it's a huge difference to my life, like for real. So appreciate being here. James, thanks for joining us, dude. Amazing. Anybody else want to say anything before we end it? Brandon, how you doing, dude? There you are.
I'm doing all right. I
we
had some
doing?
technical difficulties getting on tonight, thanks to install updates and stuff like that. But,
All right.
uh,
I didn't know if you were going to come. I thought you were tied up the next couple Mondays, so I didn't know if you were.
well, my schedule's changed. So
I love your yoga and kind of comeback video promotional thing that you put out with your interview. I thought that was unbelievably amazing. I shared it.
Yeah.
It's so inspiring, so well put together.
Do you
yeah,
do you see his rock little off the ropes?
oh,
His video, he did off both ropes and dropped the elbow. Right, Caesar
Visual.
free, dude, dropping the elbow on that crap.
no.
I love those, dude. Keep those up, man. It makes me smile every freaking day. I'm laughing my ass off when I saw that. So. Oh, sorry, froze there. All right, gang, I appreciate you. Well, like I said, we're gonna meet every Monday still. We'll still be on here, but every other Monday, include today is ZOE, and then we're back to our normal one next week, and then ZOE, and then we'll keep going. Keep going. If you have anything, I would like you guys, for ours especially, because Zoe has an agenda, but if for ours especially, if there's something you guys, it's on your table for the week coming up, or something that's on your guys' mind or in your life that keeps coming up, just text me. I want to talk about anything. It's not just about what's coming up in mind, but text me something. We'll use that as a topic and go over that. And then anybody you want to bring, always the link is back up for the ZOE. So it's at I think it's phoenixconnectgroups.com. So zoe.org. That's back up to send anybody to if they want to sign up. And then obviously for ours, you can just tell people to join us. I'll have to vet them, obviously. We're super judgmental group. I'm not just having anybody in here. James, you're in forever. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I love you guys. Appreciate you. Have a great week, and we will see you next week.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.